Okay. How to start this story? Let's start with, I generally know somebody in the room, no matter where I am. I have a reputation for knowing people. As I've gotten older, it's becoming less because I don't go out as much. But, back in the 90s and the early aughts? God, that's Brit. I would know people and all kinds of strange, interesting people. The last time I was in this room, a friend of mine, who goes by Vagina Jenkins, was doing her burlesque performance on this stage. It was the hottest thing ever. I know astronomers, I know writers, I know all sorts of people. And the thing is, you sort of get to the point where you don't really sort of take any notions where people are concerned and what they will do or think or say or what your relationship with them is. I've been in a lot of groups. I was a member of the Toronto Burlesque Vaudeville Alliance, hence my friends. I was a member of the Society for Creative Anachronism, which is basically a bunch of white guys who put on medieval armor and bash each other's brain in with a stick. I did that for 10 years. I was a Lindy Hopper. I did swing. I did a lot of different things. I am also a member of Serial Diners. Serial Diners was started up over 20 years ago by a guy and his friends who were trying to decide what restaurant to go to. And he couldn't make up their mind. And so Jason said, here's the phone book. You remember those? Yeah. Here's the phone book. We are going to start at A. And since that day, every Friday, the Serial Diners goes to a restaurant from the telephone book in order. I think they're at M. So one day we were going to a restaurant on a Friday, and since the restaurant in question was kind of really dodgy, we went to Harvey's, which is our way of saying we're going to a different restaurant. Now, anybody can be part of Serial Diners. You can show up at any time. You can look them up on the internet, and you can find out what they're doing next Friday, this upcoming Friday. And so you can always spot somebody who's going to Serial Diners because they have that kind of glazed look of, I don't know who the fuck I'm going to meet at this place or what they're like. What about the food? Ugh. Anyway, such was the case this particular week. This guy, who was probably the most nondescript individual in the world, boring, bland, meh, whatever. But we diners don't make judgment. We just go on with life. What do diners do? They go, they order the food, they complain that there's onions in the food. They have one chick that does that every week. And they talk about science and art and Star Trek and Babylon 5 and that sort of thing. And this goes on, and we had our meal, and the guy just didn't fit in, which is unusual for Serial Diners because they normally have the social skills of a mushroom, so it really doesn't matter what you do. But even then, this guy just couldn't get into it. We then went to a friend's house after the meal, played a card game, chatted, talked, arts, sciences, religion, Star Trek, Babylon 5, Deep Space Nine, that sort of thing. And, as the night progressed and we'd had a little bit of alcohol, the conversation sort of degenerated a little further to, was she blue or green? The half-naked chick in Star Trek, anyway. And various sort of sexual sort of things. And at this point, the guy figures this is when he can get his in. He can make his mark. And he says, my ex-girlfriend became a dominatrix. And then he heard from me the one thing he didn't expect to hear. Who? Blink, blink. I don't think I really should say. My friend Atushka is like, oh, you might as well tell her. She knows everybody. Well, I'm not going to say her real name, but she goes by the Lady Jasmine. Marjorie went out with you? Yeah. Okay. And we move on to other discussion and so on. Now, remember I said that you really shouldn't make any assumptions about people or whatever? The other thing you can't make assumptions of is about your memory. Because at the end of the night, we got onto the streetcar, and we were heading the same way. And I ended up sitting on the streetcar. And he sat beside me. Okay. Right? And he says, you don't remember. Remember what? Our date. Right. Sometimes you're in these situations where areas are kind of gray. And I think that's the point where I could have really used a cell phone and a time to text. Thank you.